How's it going, guys? This is the start of Delirium everywhere. Now you can see I'm spawned on the beach and we've already got Delirium. Every single zone is going to spawn with Delirium at a different percentage. So this is a 29% Delirious zone. So leveling through the story on this is pretty difficult, but you get lots of rewards. As part of that, my goal is to level an Archmage Stormbrand Hierophant. Back in the initial Delirium League, Archmage Stormbrand was amazing, but then got nerfed harder than the Aura Stackers that also emerged during that league. Stormbrand got nerfed, Brand Recall got nerfed, Archmage got nerfed, Hierophant got nerfed, Jewels got nerfed. The build kind of got obliterated. And then following that up with like some Arcane Surge got changed, and Archmage hasn't been present really in the game in quite a long time. So I'm gonna mess around with it, see if it works. I only have 3 days to play in this event because I have plans for US Thanksgiving holiday 3 days from now. So I'm only gonna be playing first 3 days of this one, and we'll see what we can do. And I will try and capture all the interesting moments as they happen for you guys as we go. Ooh, 50% Delirious Tidal Island. This means that things are going to take way less damage. 50% Delirious. And this isn't like the Mayhem where it will reset each hour. Like, no, 50% Delirious is what this zone is and will be every single time. Okay, Brutus is only going to be 36% Delirious this time. Last time we had one of these endless Deliriums, it was like 90 something, and Brutus was an absolute nightmare to deal with. Brutus wasn't too bad. Right, starting Mervale. I got myself to Runebinder here. I have Stormbrands. I can now attach 2 of them to a single target with Runebinder, so I have better single target damage now. Only 16% Delirious from Mervale, so not too bad. Field Fidelitis, now I get access to Brand Recall and a bunch of stuff to make this much smoother. Grab a Wave of Conviction, grab Cold Snap, grab an Arcane Cloak, grab Herald Thunder, Opalira, because I want this 5 flat mana regen more than anything else. Alright, I've got my wands ready. I'm just a little bit out from level 22 still, but magic wands, rare topaz rings, alterations, flat lightning dispels on both of them. Oh, I guess it's only level 20. Well, okay, well, those go in. Damage is solid. Not enough to quite nuke down a Weaver. See how Vol goes. I go under. No. See, the Delirium mods that stuff has can like throw off their attacks and give you really like good moments to deal a lot of damage. Just really cool. Only 22% Delirious. Wasn't nothing bad. Well, I got a Regal Orb, so I'm going to augment projectile speed Regal int, so that I can still do a craft resist or something if I need. Getting all kinds of currency from rewards. Clearing way faster now that I have some brand stuff and my wands going. Can inflict lightning exposure with Wave of Conviction. Cruising right along, but every time I run through all these little things on the ground, more enemies pop out of them. So clearing lots of stuff per zone. That's why I'm level 26 just entering Act 3. So good. I can get a Cold Snap off and get Frenzy Charges. That's so much extra damage. Because not only is it increased damage, it's increased speed. And cast speed kind of sets this off. Right now I still feel like I'm kind of tickling stuff, but we'll get there. Can't really do any like mana sort of anything until I get Archmage at level 31 from the library. Made it to the library. Archmage goes in for add lightning damage. Lightning Pin goes in for my faster casting. So we've got Stormbrand with those 2 gems and Conch Effect. Lightning Pin would probably be replaced by Chain to increase the mana cost. It's also where I probably take off Herald of Thunder. Okay, made it to Piety. Should be all she wrote. Yeah. No Delirium in lab. I'm okay with that. I got myself a speed shrine for lab. It's really cool. And there goes Cesaro. We'll send into Hierophant, then take Divine Guidance. 59% Delirious Dominus. Should be pretty easily. Make sure I get out my curse off, get the exposure off. Simple enough. I love the like delirium attacks where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna stand here and do something completely different and just target all your damage. It's really nice. Well, Mana Siphoner Arch Nemesis mod's going to be a real pain with this. I'm having so much trouble keeping up my mana, even like without being mind over matter. Maybe it's Arcane Cloak. It just spends too much mana. Maybe I'd be better off with running like a Steel Skin or something for the time being, because it's probably not adding much, but it takes like half my mana. I don't quite have the regen for it yet. Once I get to cast in skills and the brand recall costs a portion of the brand's costs, like I wind up without a lot of mana, so I can't use that mana or mind over matter if I can't keep it full at least. Well, this is certainly intriguing. I think I use that because I'm not getting onslaught any other way. Breaks my resists a bit, but that's more speed. More speed's more damage. With faster cast speed, the activation rate goes up, and my ability to cast it and get them down goes up. I don't see Dom or Malachi being very difficult here. Just move all the brands. Now I can get Chain, get Hex Touch. Looks like I'm gonna need some Dex. Okay, I was struggling in this zone, and I thought like something went wrong, but this one's just 60% Delirious, so it's just going to be tougher. And then I got it to 5 stacks on top of that, which I think has some effect, but that was single target. That dude melted. This boss was kind of tough. 53% Delirious, and I had to get to the fight, so I raised this number of stacks of the Delirium. It took a long time. Alright, I'm at Kitava. I'm using Chain now, since I got some dexterity. What happened? Did I break? Kitava broke? I definitely don't have cold damage. Did I really just break it? Or maybe I wasn't giving it a location to use the skill? Well, that's interesting. Anyways, I was trying to mention that Chain lowers your damage, but you get Chain, but it has a 150% mana multiplier. So it's a higher mana multiplier, allowing me to get more flat damage from Archmage, which is why we use Chain in this. It might be hurting me in the 4-link, where I originally had a conk effect. Yeah, I just don't like it when Kitava has this blast. If you stay close enough to Kitava, you can break the fight. That's crazy. So let's see, resistances, I'm gonna be a little bit under. Covered on cold, it's not bad. For not having geared too hard. Just kind of grabbed whatever felt really bad. Still using the lightning dispels weapons here. And the onslaught helmet. Passive tree wise, I've pushed down here. I want to get Constitution, probably my next move. But I got Dynamo, and I'm recovering 10% of my mana when I use guard skills, so that's cutting down the cost of Arcane Cloak a bit. And then I got Forethought. This is increasing mana costs of skills, and I'm regenerating 5 mana per second while I have Arcane Surge there. So I could also get resistances a little bit here. 3 all res there, and I got a little bit of all res here, so I could get the dexterity there. I'm going to wind up capping out my Chain before too long. Yeah, this level, I'm going to need to find more dexterity. No Delirium in heists. So just by comparison, that these are just going to be easier in the rest of the game. Okay, so now I have a Sigil of Power. You spend mana in this. It increases the mana cost of your skills, as well as giving you a buff to lightning damage per stage of the Sigil of Power, and enemies in it do less damage. So that's one way that I can further buff my damage. So I've also grabbed Wrath and then link that with Divine Blessing and Inspiration, but this is very costly on the mana. I guess the main thing I need is just a better mana flask to get out of this Sacred, but I need alts to roll that, so not there yet. Combining everything, like I can just like spend way too much mana. Yeah, my mana flask recovery is just not there, but Damage is still doing okay. The Divine Blessing, like on Wrath, since Wrath is a 50% mana reservation, it takes 50% of my mana, plus the Divine Blessing giving it an additional base cost, which is why this costs 878 mana to use, for 16% more spell damage. It doesn't look like the most worth. I feel like the Sigil of Power definitely has more use. Enemies in the area deal less damage while at maximum stages only, so you have to use enough mana in it 3 different times to get it to max stages before it's actually going to help. And that's when the outer ring of it gets this like inlaid pattern around the edge. That's when it's at max stages. Got myself a diamond shrine for Zaro. And that'll be nifty. It is so much easier in here, like in lab with the no delirium, than all of Act 7 was. Act 7 has just been loaded. Like, I've only seen 2 zones had delirium level under 50%, a bunch of 70 to 80. I'm gonna take the Arcane Surge on hit for Cruel Lab, and I can drop Arcane Surge from here. It was kind of nice on the boss for me. Only 36% delirium. Damage feels like it's fallen off, but that also makes sense. I've got my weapons are flat lightning damage instead of spell damage, and I'm stacking so much flat lightning damage from running Archmage, so the flat lightning damage from my weapons is not doing near as much to scale my damage. So I need to get new ones. Yeah, all this has is spell damage, mana regen rate on it, and it's an upgrade damage from that one pretty substantially, so it's not going to take much to replace once. 3% delirious. It's going to make these guys a real pain. They're all unique, so they all have special delirium mods. Actually, they died fairly easily compared to the packs of monsters in here. They actually died. Ooh, 77% delirious. This boss fight is gonna be painful. You can see just like the delirium goes up. Just like these normal basic enemies that should just be falling over. Takes some work. You get swarmed and it's crazy. Alright, Mr. Yugle. Ooh, look at the deeps. I feel like in a normal playthrough of the game, my damage would be doing pretty solid right now with what I've got. But this delirium nonsense. Ooh. 74% delirium. Solaris Lunaris. Sigil of Power will definitely help things here. Need to get it in a better spot. Right there seems good. I don't know if Orb of Storms is really doing much to help me at all. I switched into Elemental Overload as well. That's helped a bit with damage. I'm not doing crits anyways, so I attack so often, should be worth. Okay, now let's see, is this zone tolerable? 26, I might farm myself a Tabula here. Level 69, only 1 card. Probably not farming Tabula. I guess I'll move on. Super excited to fight this guy at 72% delirious. He hasn't been that bad because he stands still and doesn't do anything for large periods of time. Ooh, this might be even worse. 77% delirious. 0% like delirious, like normal. And like this boss just instantly dies. Oh no. 78% delirious. This is gonna be all 4 of the final bosses. Alright, number 1. Yikes. Up to 3 stacks for Malagaro. Also on the lookout for Eternal Mana Flask now. Eternal Mana Flask might make it possible to consider Mind Over Matter. Odre doesn't move. Okay, it wasn't too bad. Now we got Trinity. Ow. Okay, first phase down. Rip. Ow, why do those guys hurt so bad? Whew. Made it. Okay. Life, cast speed, recoup. I really dislike how this burring blade mechanic shows like this star with like 5 directions that those blades, I guess, are gonna pierce out of there. 5 directions and it comes out in 6. I don't get it. 5 ways? 6. An exalted orb. I just don't have dire use for it at this point in time. I mean, my gloves are a decent shot for mana on the prefix, but I don't think I should waste an exalt just yet. So this is a good comparison to my Trinity fight that I just did. I'm not even going to use the Wrath, but... Zaro just kind of dies. I'm kind of torn on what I want to do here next. I kind of want to get the 4 minimum endurance charges for safety. That would also give me resistances. But this is spell damage leeches life, reduced effect of chill and shock, which is also safety. I don't like Sign of Purpose. Sign of Purpose like doubles the activation frequency if the duration, attached duration on the brand goes down. So it activates every 0.25 seconds while attached, so that would like drop in half. So it would like double in damage, but that's for like 1.6 seconds out of the 6.6, and you have to let it like run down. We'll do Illuminated Devotion, then get Conviction of Power later on. I also haven't put on a shield yet, which is something I need to do. Most importantly, so I can shield charge and not run around super slow. Oh yeah, I just did lab. I was like, why are things not dying here? It's like, oh, 84% delirious. These enemies don't die. 89% delirious? For real? Such a long zone too. Only 36 for Kitava. That's good. Alright, made it to maps. Resists are fine. No chaos res though. It's kind of hard to judge whether or not Archmage is still okay. I will say though that something like notably missing is something like this node, the 50% increased life regeneration rate. There's nothing to like further scale the regen. Like we have flat regen and we have mana regeneration rate. That's it. I know there are similar mods on Watcher's Eyes, maybe on the implicits for things, but it would be really awesome to have a pure mana regen node that has the increased mana regen rate, and it's just not here. Alright, first map is Strand. Strand is 77% delirious, and Strand will be 77% delirious no matter what, anytime I run it. So Strands are gonna be rough, always. So at this point in the event, it's where I'm trying to make mental checklists of maps that are runnable, like with some sort of speed and efficiency. Strand is not one of them. Terrace map boss is easier than the Act 8 Terrace boss because of the Delirium. Got myself an Eternal Mana Flask, finally. That should help things. I got a shield. It's not a great shield, but it's a shield. So now I can shield charge and move around a little bit. Oh, no Delirium in Vol's side area. That's good. Imagine that. Stuff dying. It's crazy. Oh, lovely. 98% delirious. Stuff is definitely not going to die in here. These are white enemies. The Thicket is on the list of maps to never run again in this league. Oh my god. Alright, so somehow, someway, I just rushed the boss without dying, I think. Made it to the boss. Now. Ah! Oh yay, you summon more stuff! Oh no. Oh no. Last one. We might have to come back to the Thicket map after all. Come on. Yes, I got it. It's only in an event like this where you have an experience like that just was. Mars Touch to Chaos. So I'm also learning through this that if you do not have a way to deal with spell damage, it will destroy you. Like, I'm normally playing with like cap spell suppression by the time I get to maps, because I almost always play Raider. But this is insane, like how much damage the spells do. The Profane Wand. Be able to craft myself a weapon upgrade. Okay, well, get absolutely destroyed by Beyond. I'm struggling really hard with this. It'd be great if the answer is just like, oh, throw on Mind Over Matter and like use your massive mana pool, but thing is, like, I can't keep my mana full as it is because like the regen for mana is not in the game. It actually feels pretty terrible. And then they changed the Divine Blessing to make it cost more mana to kind of seemingly make it more applicable to a scenario like I have, but this is a one button I have no mana now. Just so I can get Wrath for 15 seconds. And I really miss when this build was really good. It was so much fun to play. 76% Delirious. Like, I've only found like one kind of decent map. It was Terrace, like 31% Delirium. Every other one I've done has just been like pain. I guess Coliseum wasn't too terribly bad. Maybe I should have farmed for the Tabula. But at the same time, if I would have farmed for the Tabula, I would be kind of glossing over the like glaring issues that exist with this build. And I wouldn't say it's just like I don't know what I'm doing with it. It's like I played this build a lot and in gauntlets, and it used to work. And there's just got, I think the biggest change that hurt this build more than anything else was that Arcane Surge lost its flat mana it gave and its cast speed. When you used to be able to scale Arcane Surge and you got the flat mana from it and then you scale your mana regen and everything, Arcane, like, you used to be able to get enough mana regen. It's just like the mana regen is not here. So I'm currently running Glancing Blows as well. It's giving me up to 48% attack block, 16 spell block. Come in here, I get a bunch of resists and whatnot. But the shield's not great. Ideally, I don't want to be in Glancing Blows, but at the same time, I'm not going to have enough block to deal with it for quite a bit. Let's try it. I'm gonna put this point into my Mind Over Matter and go at the rest of this map. Let's see how much mana issues I have then. If I just run out of mana and I never have mana, then it's not doing me any good to have the Mind Over Matter. Because if I have no mana, I just have the same life pool anyways. And my resists are capped. Like, I don't have the greatest amount of life, but with the mana, I've got like a 6k effective health pool. Yep, and I can't do anything now because I have Corrupting Blood. And it's draining my mana completely. I guess another thing I could do is like, I could remove the Arcane Cloak, but the Arcane Cloak seems to be designed around having lots of mana. Like, I don't even use the Wrath, if I'm being honest. I have most of my mana issues from just using a 4-link Archmage and having Arcane Cloak. The mana that I do have does help me to sustain, like, from the regen on it. Taking degens isn't quite as bad, but, like, also, like, I'm dying mostly to spells, and I don't have the spell block completely set up yet. I get that. If I were to, say, replace the Wrath with a Grace or Determination for more survivability, like, I'm spending all my mana for that and I still die to spells. See, like, my idea, right, was that you could do this and then spells would be easier to mitigate due to the larger effective life pool having all of the mana there. Because I'm only level 74, and like, it definitely goes up and gets better. But for a T4 map, the Delirious is not increasing the damage of these monsters. The mana regen that I have is helping keep me alive from having 10 stacks of Corrupting Blood. Like, my mana, like, still degens from that. I just know if I was playing on a raider, I'd be running circles and this stuff and not taking damage. Maybe at the same time, I'm seeing why when Nugi tried to play a Archmage build this league, he didn't last more than a day playing it before he was like, no, I'm going to play something else. I still got 2 more days left of Delirium League. I'm going to keep playing on this character, even if it's painful and I hate it. Like, we're going to make the most out of this build that I can. Hopefully we can figure something out and keep grinding at it. I think probably I need to find some regrets and kind of take out some of this damage from like this cast speed, whatnot, and just like go full in the spell block, which those nodes are like right here. There's lots of spell block. There's also lots of spell block right here. And then I have a little bit of spell block here. So I get increased mana regeneration rate per 1% chance to block spells. So a little bit extra there. Potential. I don't know. Like, I could go get more damage by going to Art of Thunder, but that doesn't solve the issues that I'm having. This Life Leech doesn't seem to be doing super large amount to help me. I'm probably still a ways out from having a chance at the lab, because I gotta get to yellow maps. This would give me a decent chunk of physical damage reduction. If I have this point here, that's 36% mana regeneration rate for this one node here. And the damage goes up big time with an additional link. A 5 link greatly increases the mana cost of my skills, plus gives me another useful link. So the damage scales really nicely with links. I feel a little bit discouraged by this Divine Blessing thing though. I kind of thought, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get an Essence Worm for one of my rings, have the Divine Blessing for Wrath, and then I'd have a lot of extra damage, but without the ability to cover the mana, it's just not there. And there's a mastery on this elemental thing that leeches elemental damages ES. So if you're doing some kind of Eldritch Battery thing, there's like a lot of ES leech accessible. There's no mana leech outside of this gym. This gym also doesn't have a mana multiplier, and it only works with attacks. So, like, how do you do this? How in the game are you supposed to do this? Rallying Cry also used to give a decent chunk of mana regeneration when it was used. I used it all the time for the mana regen. So I'd love to say that I'm missing something here, but I honestly don't think I really am. I think it's just, this is completely underwhelming in almost every regard. That's just the way it sits. And when a lot of players talk about in the past about like they want the meta to shift, it's not like nerf the best builds. It's like this whole paradigm doesn't exist in the game, whereas it should. Mana builds should be good. Going up on resistances and having the much larger effective HP pool should be a counter to spell suppression. But it's just not, because spells do stupid amount of damage. Like, the only way is I'm gonna have to be spell block. And playing Archmage, it just doesn't behoove me to use a Tempest Shield, because I could easily slap this in. Now I have Tempest Shield, but that lowers my damage. Not as much as I thought it would, actually. And then I can't even use the Divine Blessing. Maybe if I took out the increased duration. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, well, I guess I will leave it there, and we will continue with it tomorrow. So, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the like button, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss more videos from me. If you'd like to help support my channel, please consider using the super thanks, the heart icon just below the video, or by joining to become a member. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.